Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday on this first Friday in November, and welcome to this week's Fireside Chat. I'm Lisa Stearns, and I'm here with Tim Cross, our Senior Vice President. And as usual, we'll be updating you today on the latest information regarding COVID-19 cases within the university and the Institute. And we'll hear from some of our other areas of the Institute that will be highlighting ways in which innovation is playing a role in how we do our work. A few reminders, as you know, please keep your audio muted unless you are the one speaking. Use the chat function on Zoom to ask any questions. You can post them publicly or you can send them privately to me on the chat. And a recording of this session will be made and posted to the UTIA coronavirus website. You can find that link on our homepage at utia.tennessee.edu. So, Tim, how does the case count look currently for the university and the Institute?
Well, thanks for kicking us off again, Lisa. And as usual, great to see everyone. I hope all of you have had a good week. I'm going to jump right into our data today because we've got, I think, some great messages later in the chat to share, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time for those. So without a lot of introductory remarks, let me get right to sharing our data. And any of you who have joined the last 2 or 3 weeks are probably going to say, he sure sounds like a broken record, because this is going to be largely more of the same. So let me work through these charts fairly briefly, but just to give you an update of where we're at so that we're all aware. University-wide, our numbers look very, very similar to last week. We currently have 11 active positive cases among employees and 58 students with active positive cases. Now, let me say that was as of 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm aware of, I think, 2 more positive cases among employees, at least within the Institute. So those numbers, you know, they really change almost by the hour, but I had to pull the data at 8 o'clock this morning. That was the only chance I had. So that's the update as of that point in time. If you look at isolations, again, a little bit of an increase there compared to the last several weeks, but I don't think anything substantial nor overly concerning, other than we want all these numbers to be at 0. But right now we're looking at 68 faculty and staff university-wide who are in isolation, and 305 students. And both of those, if you notice, are slightly larger than last week and the 4 or 5 weeks before that, but certainly not near the levels of mid to late September. So we'll keep an eye on that certainly and continue to report weekly on this same data. For the Institute of Agriculture, again, it's a pretty similar story. You know, you might glance at this chart and say, gosh, we're really spiking in the number of cases. It's gone from 1 to 3 to 5. But let's keep in mind that those are still very small numbers. And it's really, I think, again, a positive sign that we have that a number of employees with active positive cases as we speak. But on the other hand, we'd rather that number be 0. So we're keeping a close eye on that as well. But looking back all the way as far back as this chart goes to mid-August, we're still not seeing any large number of cases amongst our faculty and staff within the Institute of Agriculture. And same story for isolations. We've got 13 faculty and staff in isolation. And again, over the last several weeks, all the way back to mid-August, that's actually right in the range of what we've been experiencing. So no major changes there either. Now, again, when we go to the national figures, last week I said it looked bad. This week I'm going to say it looks horrible, because we are now seeing the number of new daily cases exceed 100,000 per day. And in fact, yesterday approached 120,000. So nationally, we're continuing to increase. Certainly that is not at all what we want to see. So very, very troubling from a national perspective. And I think this certainly illustrates the the ease and the rapidity with which this virus spreads. And currently, we're not going in the right direction in terms of the country. Actually seeing a slight decrease in trend, at least in the state of Tennessee. So while we've had some days of more than 3,000 cases recently, we're also seeing days of less than 2,000 cases. So the trend, at least for the past several days, is actually back down, but we'll keep an eye on that. It would be great if we could run counter to the national trend and see a decreased number of cases emerging on a daily basis. Let's hope we can all follow practices and do our part to contribute to that decreasing number of new cases daily. So that's a summary of where we're at on campus, across the state, and across the country at this point in time.
Well, so in some happier news, as you alluded to earlier, we do know that during this pandemic, our service units have had to make some adjustments, along with our faculty and staff, in how we engage our clients. So today we'd like to highlight some of those innovations. So if you will share those, Tim.
Yeah, great. And I think this is a great chance to share some more of the good work going on throughout the Institute. We've heard from faculty and staff and agents a couple of different times in previous Fireside Chats, but thought today it would be good to share a little bit of what some of the units do that support a number of others through their work. And so we'll give each of them a chance to share just a little of some of the new and innovative things that they're doing. And we're going to start with Dr. Keith Barber, who is Vice Chancellor for our Office of Advancement. Dr. Barber is going to share a little bit of the work they've been doing to help, obviously, to advance the Institute and to raise money and to steward our donors and work with our alumni. So, Dr. Barber, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Cross. I want to make sure you can hear me.
We hear you, and we've got the slide in front of us as well.
Great, good deal. Well, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. Everyone, one of the key components for our office, as Dr. Cross alluded to, is to stay engaged with our graduates and with our constituents. A number of ways we do that. And since COVID hit,
Keith, we lost your audio.
Hear me now?
A little bit. There's a lot of rattling, rustling in the background, but I think we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. So one of the things that we decided to do was try a few different things, new opportunities that we had, and to stay in touch with our alums. So we created a series of interactions with all graduates from the Herbert College of Agriculture and the College of Veterinary Medicine. And by the way, there's about 16,000 of those. So total, and we created a program called No Mask Required, and that initiative was really been focused through our departments. And so every department head in the Herbert College of Agriculture, and then small animal and large animal department heads in College of Veterinary Medicine had the chance through about a 6-week period to interact with the alums. And during that, we had 23 different sessions of No Mask Required, 1-hour Zoom sessions, and where the department head and then our office hosted, but department head and various faculty were engaged with conversations with graduates. And period, we really just, again, looked to connect with these graduates back at the department level, and it was a great success. We had almost 200 people connecting in that way, and most of those persons we had never interacted with before. And so it's a great opportunity for us to do that. We did survey of those 200 or so participants afterwards, and we learned the most important thing we learned from that was that the alumni would like to continue to engage at the departmental level and do it by Zoom or even in person, but Zoom seems to be a great way to work. A couple other Zoom opportunities we've taken advantage of. The College of Veterinary Medicine does their faculty rounds on Fridays, And so we invite alumni from the College of Veterinary Medicine to participate in those as well. Dr. Dennis Geiger is the sort of founding father of that, and we appreciate that, Dennis, for your help in stewarding that. A couple other things we've done during this time, and then I'll wrap up. Other campuses that focused on supporting students who were in need, financial need during this time. And the Herbert College of Agriculture and the College of Veterinary Medicine were able to do that through UTK, but we did a little bit different twist, and we focused on need-based assisted care for those who might need a helping hand during the COVID situation with animals. And so those who that people could apply and receive assistance. But we did an initiative where we had more than 250 donors. For a matter of fact, it was almost 300 donors give 350 gifts for this particular program, raising over $60,000 that is now being distributed out to those in need, those clients who are in need of assistance to pay their medical bills at the College of Veterinary Medicine hospitals. And then the final thing, Mike, if you'll slip over to the next image, we continue to do what many of you may have heard about as Magic Moments. That's a podcast that is ran by Lauren Bath out of our office. And this particular, can you see that link there, Mike? Dr. Cross?
Well, hang on just one moment.
Okay, I think Lisa has put it in the chat box.
Okay.
So Lisa's put a link there in the chat box. So Magic Moments is an initiative from our office to help bring agriculture to those who don't really think about ag every day. And that continues to be a good opportunity for us to make connections on behalf of the Institute, the faculty, and some very unique opportunities that you might download that link and check it out. So Dr. Cross, I'll wrap our session up to saying, adversity sometimes is just the mother of invention, comes from that. And so we try to take advantage of doing things differently and finding that, hey, there are different solutions and different opportunities. And we appreciate the privilege of serving the Institute and our constituents.
Thanks, Keith. And I know that those 200 plus individuals that we're connected with in those departmental sessions, many of them I don't think we'd had contact with for years, and probably some of them maybe not since they graduated or left campus. So wouldn't have happened without COVID probably, but a great way to engage some folks or re-engage in some cases with the Institute. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
Good. All right, next I'm going to introduce Dr. Tom Gill, who is the chair of the Smith International Center. And we know Tom and his staff work closely with a number of different faculty and groups across the campus and across the Institute for that matter. So Dr. Gill, would you like to share a little bit about what you and your team have been involved with?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Cross, and good to see everyone this afternoon. Happy Friday. Just a few quick updates from our International Center, a few things that we've been doing over this past kind of 8 very different months. Even though we've had international travel on an extended pause, we have still continued to work with our partners around the world and research, outreach, and education activities. We've seen a rapid uptake of all kinds of folks being suddenly able to do Zoom and Microsoft Teams calls from all crazy corners of the world. So that's been fun to still be able to be engaged and continue with work. We have been able to join a consortium of global universities that are working on the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And we've done things such as work with the other units here. So we worked with Keith's shop and advancement to secure some donor funding for some new work in Haiti. And we've been working with Lisa's shop and Angela's shop. We have our Smith Center website, which went live yesterday. So that is now up and running on WordPress. So we're excited about those things. But a couple of things I just want to highlight really quickly is that we've also been able to pivot some during these 8 months and really grow our engagement with the international and intercultural communities that are here in our own state and region. And one way that we've done that is through leading a joint UTK-UTIA initiative called End Hunger, Feed Change, which is running a themed year about raising awareness on local to global hunger issues, encouraging our volunteers, our vols to get involved in addressing hunger from campus all the way to around the world. But the thing I really want to focus on, the last thing I'll share, I just want to provide some information on our new extension work group. In response to some findings that we ran from an extension-wide survey back in February pre-COVID, we initiated now a UTTSU Extension Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Communities Work Group, which is focusing on equipping our extension employees with the skills and resources to better serve those culturally and linguistically diverse communities across Tennessee. And we've got participants on that work group from all regions of the state, from all missions of extension, and we're really just getting off the ground. We've had our first 3 monthly Zoom meetings. We're learning about resources that are around the state. We're discussing different strategies about how to better equip our extension colleagues to serve these diverse communities across the state. Now, these communities are some of the fastest growing communities in the state, and if we're going to be responsive to the needs of Tennessee, we need to be better equipped to serve all audiences. And one of the goals that I see from this work group in particular is to raise the awareness that the international and the intercultural isn't just something that's out there, out way beyond our borders, but it's something that is increasingly here within our state and something that we can be engaged with, and we need to be ready on our doorstep to be able to serve these communities better. So if you have any questions about that, or about anything else that we're doing right now, please feel free to contact me. I'll drop my email in the chat. I'll drop the web link as well of our new website on WordPress. So thank you, that's all I had. Thank you, Dr. Cross, for the invite. Thanks, Lisa, also for setting this up and inviting me to share.
Great, thanks for the updates and the successes that you've shared, Dr. Gill. A couple of things that I noted there. One, having Zoom calls with all corners of the world while online media has facilitated those things. I have noted that the time difference has not improved. So, you know, meeting with our friends and partners in Asia is still a 12-hour difference, unfortunately. So scheduling is still a challenge, but connection is possible, and no greater time or need for connection than right now. So appreciate you and your team staying with that. And you mentioned your new WordPress site launched yesterday, and that's a great segue into hearing from our Chief Information Officer, Angela Gibson, and hearing about what else Information Technology Services has been involved with the past several months. So Angela, you want to share?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Cross. It's always hard to follow Keith Barber and Tom Gill, but so while our offices across the state may not be 100% staffed, Information Technology Services and Extension's Information Technology professionals have been upgrading network equipment for our SHIELD locations, for our SHIELD network at our county offices and research and education centers. Last year, Extension leadership approved a 4-year replacement cycle for our SHIELD network equipment. And so this past summer, we replaced firewall equipment at 11 locations with new, faster network firewalls. In 2021, we plan to replace firewall equipment at 19 locations. So the replacement cycle continues. And this ensures that we have a secure, reliable network that provides additional layers of security for our business processes when we return to our offices. So another improvement we made to our SHIELD network was replacing our UTIA secure network with EduRoam. And so EduRoam provides us a unified network, and it also simplifies our secure wireless network across the state. This has reduced the need of our staff who would log into each secure wireless network at each location, so they can travel at our extension offices and our research and education centers and our campus locations almost seamlessly. So I'd like to thank Mike Stanley and our extension IT professionals, Cam Philbeck, David Yates, Christina Martinez, Justin Stefanski, Brad Eubanks, and Sean Towater for helping with that. And also thank UTK's network services folks for helping us as they control the EduRoom network for UTK. So another thing I'd like to mention is how our office worked with marketing communication to establish an online presence and registration system for the Mile and No-Till virtual field day. As you know, 2020 is the first year this event was held virtually. The online event kicked off on July 23rd and has been really successful. To date, the site's had over 8,700 views and nearly 15,000 video views. So we're still counting. So people continue to visit the site and continue to watch the videos and continue to gain the knowledge that we are sharing. So we have used this online approach to hold other UTIA field day events. And we found that these virtual events are a really effective way for UTIA to communicate with and involve our constituents in the research activities during this pandemic. You know, we're looking forward to a day where we can hold these events in person and when it's safe to do so. So for that, I'd like to thank Mark Young, Billy Williams, Sophie Schmidt, Ginger Rousey for all their work on this virtual event. There's many other IT projects and initiatives happening across the Institute, and our IT personnel do a great job to help us move forward, and I'd like to thank all of them. So I hope you all have a great weekend, and thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Angela. And boy, there's no doubt that without information technology, think how challenged we would have been for the past 8 months and for the next 8 months, most likely. So really appreciate you and your staff for enabling us to get out there virtually, do things like the Mile and No-Till Field Day, and reach people across the state. You know, it strikes me the Mile and No-Till Field Day, when it's done in person, lasts about 8 hours from 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. The Mile and No-Till Field Day done virtually lasts forever. It's still there. It's still serving a need. So we're learning some things and really gaining great experiences in the process. So I really appreciate that. Well, I'll wrap up introducing our units by inviting our host here today, Lisa Stearns, to share a little bit about what marketing communications has been doing since COVID has impacted us and how you've helped to further the efforts of our faculty and staff.
Thanks so much, Tim. And we have been doing a lot despite just holding fireside chats. I have to say our team has they very quickly and effectively shifted to remote work. And interestingly, the workload has increased as well because many of our faculty and staff are finding perhaps the time to produce new work. And so our job is to help tell those stories and take that work and put it in a format that the public can understand. So I've asked Jean Halsey, our Assistant Director of Creative Services, to give an overview of just the kinds of projects that we have been working on. And then Charles Denny will talk more specifically about video production.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Dr. Cross, and happy Friday, everyone. So Lisa, that was a perfect segue into just what I'd like to share as a quick screen cap of some of the projects that our office typically works on. As you can see, in January and March, our first quarter, we had 321 total projects. And when we transitioned in the second quarter to working remotely, our total projects jumped to 347, and that included 57 extension numbered publications, many of which are COVID related, a lot of news items, and you can see on the right hand of the screen here, just a couple screen caps of some of those projects. We came out with our Land, Life, and Science magazine, some branding items for 4-H, and of course, the Zoom backgrounds that we all know and love well now. We also supported a lot of virtual field days, which Charles Denny can speak more to in just a moment. But I'd like to kind of talk just real briefly about how we transitioned to keep UTIA visible through this pandemic. Angela mentioned the website work. Our two teams, ITS and Marketing Communications, have been working really closely together. And by the end of this year, we are on track to have near or just over 100 websites. That's either websites that we have moved from SharePoint into WordPress or brand new websites. And an example of a brand new website would be the coronavirus website. We also have moved our own marketing and communications website into WordPress. And part of that is a resource area for new employees. So if you're new to UTIA, please check out marketing.tennessee.edu, and we've got a tab for some resources for you. And something that is up and coming for us is a branding website. We are going to have a much more robust and much more user-friendly website with lots of assets for UTIA employees and our partners across the state to be able to download from. So that's another great initiative between our team and ITS, helping us make that as friendly for the users as possible. Another thing that Lisa mentioned, but we really were able to pivot very quickly to working remotely through Trello and Slack and Zoom. We successfully hired and onboarded a full-time employee, several student interns, and that's just really been surprisingly smooth. We also, including today, if I've counted correctly, we've done 28 fireside chats that we've helped to support. So that's the actual fireside chats themselves, as well as the prep ahead of time and then the follow-up communications after the fireside chats. Another thing that I'd like to highlight is our work with the Knoxville campus. Communicon is one example. We had Beth Davis on our team, who was actually part of the planning committee for that. And then Lisa and April and Sandra with CVM all were, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out. If I did, please forgive me, but all were very involved in actually presenting during Communicon. And then many Knoxville meetings. The Communications Council was meeting on a weekly basis, which I sit on that committee for. And I know Doug Edlund in our office has been sitting through lots and lots of emergency operations meetings. And those are just two examples. There's, I'm sure, many more. And then the virtual field days, which Angela alluded to, were a challenge for a new opportunity, I guess, maybe is a better way to say it, for everybody involved, but those were really successful. And then for this third quarter, we don't have all of our numbers parceled out yet, but up from 347 in quarter two, we're looking to have 366 completed projects in these most recent 3 months, and those include 85 news items, 44 web and email projects, 35 extension publications, and media relations and video stories and podcasts. Of course, we have 7 of those. So those are just a couple. And then this bottom right-hand photo, I wanted to just share with UTIA. We had to get creative in how we worked together, and there was 2 or 3 different opportunities where we were able to be outside, socially distanced. Tara, our project coordinator, who many of you may have met, got to meet us outside in a car circle for the first time after she'd been working for many weeks. So that's a little bit of what we've done, and I'm going to kick it over to Charles Denny in my office.
All right, thanks, Jean. She mentioned virtual field days there. I was going to talk real quickly about that. We had about 8 of those in various forms. Our role was to sometimes shoot and edit presentations that people were doing during the field days, or sometimes people would record on Zoom their presentation with a PowerPoint. And then our job was to compile all these, put them online, get closed captioning done. Angela and several others have already mentioned the Milan Field Day. I want to mention that one more time. It was the biggest. It had more than 60 presentations. As Angela said, 15,000 views, and I've heard something like 50,000 clicks or impressions, and hits from 36 states and 38 countries. Also, we were involved in the Milan virtual breakfast and kind of breakfast in a box, where we sent muffins and a coffee mug and things. And we had a virtual breakfast where a number of dignitaries spoke by Zoom. And that was all hosted by our former colleague, Ginger Rousey, who did a lot of work with these virtual field days. So then I'll just segue to TV production. We've got a few more things to shoot in 2020, and we're going to end up with a year, it looks like, producing 52 video news stories, which is what we would do in a normal year. Now, if you'd have told me back in April, May, June, we're going to do 52, I'd said, there is no way under these circumstances. But we did it. And I say we because we got to 52 because of many of you. Our people across the state were willing to be interviewed, sometimes by Zoom or FaceTime or in person at a safe distance. And people just gave me story ideas that we could do. Sometimes the story, many times it was COVID related, or it was about the fact that we were doing something virtually. The pandemic, of course, no one ever wanted to see anything this horrific as the pandemic, but it really changed the way TV stations and the media are operating. Not only are they sometimes losing revenue because of the economy, but also they're just having a tough time producing all that airtime in news. And because they can't have in-studio live guests, that actually created an opportunity for us in some instances. They really needed our material more. WBIR is the station here in town that's been running many of our stories because they have those openings now. So I would just encourage everybody to please keep the ideas coming. Email me if you have an idea that you think might make a great TV story or a print story or a podcast. We mentioned we saw actually counting all podcasts, including the Fireside Chats and things that people are doing across the state. We're up to 112 podcasts for the year. And one last thing I'd like to mention is that we continue to work with the media in a media relations standpoint. And Farm Journal Broadcasting, who does U.S. Farm Report, featured us, UTIA, on its college roadshow. Now this is a lot like, kind of like ESPN's Game Day, where they travel to different campuses, and despite the pandemic, they still wanted to come to us. They featured 6 universities. So it was us, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Iowa State, Nebraska, and Missouri. I proudly mention that list because, as you can see, we were the only SEC land grant who got featured. That's Tyne Morgan, who is the host of U.S. Farm Report, and she produced this show. She was not able to come to campus because she actually had a death in her family, but a crew came to campus, and over about a one-day period, they shot interviews with 4 of our Herbert students. They did a virtual roundtable with our ag economists, Aaron Smith, Andrew Muhammad, and Kim Jensen. They did an interview with Dr. Cross about our land grant mission, and they did features with Jessica Black on all-vol cheese and food science, and John Manafo on his whiskey research, again, all from food science. So we recently shared a link, an email from Dr. Cross. It was a good 40-minute show. As you can see, our logo was all over the place. They didn't just say they were at the University of Tennessee. They said they were at the Institute of Agriculture, and it was really better than we could have even hoped for. It really turned out very well. So I would encourage you to go to that link and watch the show. Really was well produced. I was really impressed. So they turned it around in about a 3-day period too. So with that, again, please send me any story ideas you have, and I'll toss it back to Lisa and Dr. Cross.
Thanks, Charles, Jean, and Lisa. Some great work. And, you know, I suspect most of you have had some kind of interactions with one or more of the folks we heard from today, but few of you had an opportunity to connect in all these different ways with so many different activities going on in so many new and different approaches. So I hope that overview gives you a good feel for what's been happening in terms of support and new ideas for supporting our faculty and staff. The Farm Journal story in particular was a lot of fun. It did kind of feel like college game day. I wanted to have a big head to put on at the end of it, but I didn't plan ahead enough. So maybe next time we host, we'll do that and have a big smoky head to put on or something. But a fun experience with that crew. So Lisa, I'll turn it back to you, and let's see what questions then folks might have, either about the presentations we heard today, or certainly about anything related to COVID-19 as well.
Well, so far we just have one question, and that is if you could provide an update on the UT Extension Dean search and the candidates.
Oh yeah, great, sure can. Very timely too, because interviews start next week. So the search committee recommended 5 finalists, and you might say to yourself, holy cow, that's a lot of people. That's exactly what I said to myself, but I looked at the individuals they were recommending, and it was from a large pool of well-qualified individuals, and I think we need to take a careful look at all of them. So those interviews start next week, and we're going to get 5 candidates through here in about 2 weeks time period. That's going to be a combination of both in-person and virtual opportunities for the interviews themselves. So we'll have limited amount of space for face-to-face participation, and then everyone is welcome certainly to participate through online viewing and interview sessions. So the seminars will be done once on campus and also once over in Middle Tennessee at our 4-H Center in Columbia, and that's to provide more access and provide the candidates more understanding of Tennessee's extension programs, Tennessee agriculture, our rural communities, the needs of our youth, and so forth. So each of the candidates will be announced approximately 2 business days prior to their interview, so that we continue to inform you as to who's coming, make available on the website each of their curriculum vitas, as well as a connection, I believe, or the ability to register for the online presentation or seminar that they'll make. So that's the plans at this point. The first candidate, which was announced yesterday, is Dr. Scott Senseman. He'll be beginning his interview on Monday, and we're looking forward to hearing Scott's vision for UT Extension and having a chance to visit with him about his thoughts in terms of leading the organization. And then following Dr. Senseman, we'll connect with 4 additional candidates, again, over the course of about 2 weeks. So that's the status right now. I think, I'm pretty sure Dr. Beal is on, and I'm not sure about Dr. Shin, but they're co-chairing the search. I would pause just for a moment to see if either Kala or Hongwei wanted to share any more information about the candidates or the search. And I see Hongwei.
Dr. Cross, I'm sorry. You go ahead, Dr. Beal.
I think the fact that we're bringing in 5 different candidates is just a testament to how much quality and exciting expertise the candidates have. So I'm looking forward to tremendous participation.
Thanks, Kala. Hongwei?
You covered it very well, Dr. Cross, on the website. So we're going to roll out these candidates and then the CV and also evaluation. So all the seminars will be recorded and are going to be posted at the conclusion of all 5 interviews. You only need to attend one of the 2 seminars, obviously.
Great. All right. Hope that's helpful in terms of an update.
Great. There's one other question, and that is, when will the ADA process be announced?
Somebody's going to have to help me out. The ADA process.
We'll see if we get clarification here.
I'm only thinking of the Disabilities Act, and that can't be it.
Oh, for people with medical conditions?
Yes, that process is already in place and exists, and it's through the Office of Equity and Diversity. Let me see. So, Doug Bonner, I'll see if I can get a lifeline with you. Anything you'd like to say about those who might want to apply for a medical exemption?
Sure thing. Yeah, and I was wondering if that's what it was when the question came up. I think what you've said is entirely accurate. So I'm assuming, and I want to be careful doing that, but it has to do with the increased focus on returning more of our workforce to the brick and mortar locations over the course of the next several months, and particularly as we get into next year. What we are going to do is continue to encourage our leaders to work with their staff to every extent they can to help work out a schedule that works to support both the operation and, of course, that staff member's individual needs. But if they do have a medical condition or something that would restrict them from coming to the workplace entirely, and if it is a situation where their role requires them to be in the physical workplace, then the ADA accommodation process may be the best mechanism for them to pursue. And in that case, I would say, work with your HR partner for your unit. We'll help get you in contact with Jill Malalepsky over with the Office of Equity and Diversity, and then she'll partner with you to work through any accommodations that may be found appropriate.
Great, thanks, Doug. That's very
Sure.
helpful. Do you want to just tick off who those HR partners are for each of the units?
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to. So we've got Jennifer Daniels with the College of Veterinary Medicine. Whitney Fair supports our Ag Research Group. We have John Toman and Deb Welch that support the Extension Organization, and Amy Stover has recently joined the HR team in support of the Herbert College of Agriculture.
Good. Thank you, Doug. Very helpful.
And Tim, it looks like those are all the questions. So any final comments?
Oh yeah, I've had a lot of feedback following last week's discussion where we talked about scaling up a little more of our presence in our bricks and mortar facilities, and as I expected, there's a good number of you that said, "Oh, finally, I'm wanting to come back and do more," and as expected, there's some who said, "You're crazy, aren't you looking at your own data that you're sharing every week in terms of the number of cases across the country in particular?" And I think that's again not unexpected at all. I mean, this is a challenging time. We see more cases and yet more desire to really be back at work, if you will, physically. And I think, as Doug just described, our challenge is to work through that thoughtfully and carefully, and not get in such a big hurry that we jeopardize anyone's health or safety, or the safety of others, obviously, but that we also recognize we do have an important mission. The state counts on us, our counties and communities count on us, our students certainly count on us. We need to be there for them too. So I think we'll continue to plan just as we talked about last week, but that doesn't mean, again, that we can't realize or determine that the situation has become unmanageable and we're going to have to either pause or back up in that process. So certainly, still looking ahead with the expectation of scaling up further, but doing so safely and cautiously, and keeping the option to say, "Oops, that's not going to work," and backing up if we need to. So with that, I'm going to wrap up my remarks. Really a pleasure to see each of you. Thanks to our units for sharing today, and thanks especially to each and every one of you for doing what you do. We continue to hear positive things about what's happening across campus and across the state, whether it be in our College of Veterinary Medicine, whether it be at one of our recs out across the state, in one of our county offices, or here in a classroom. You're doing good work. We recognize and we appreciate it. So thank you and have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Go Vols.